The college football experience, Charlotte 49ers 2024 season preview episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Yes, sign up. And when you do, sign up with the promo code TCE SGPN to claim your first time deposit offer of up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCE SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Rhythm's college football and NFL picks and projections are all now live. Claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm.
Hey everybody, Jim McMahon here, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Welcome to the college football experience. Charlotte 49ers, the Clits 2024 season preview episode. I am excited to talk about this team. And I know I say that for every team because I really am, but more so this team than a lot of other schools because I am buying in to what is happening there at in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm very excited to talk about this. YouTube.com/the college experience as we break down all 134 college football teams with a solo podcast for every single team in the land. Yeah, I mean, jump on over there because we're loading up. That we're in the middle of the ACC now, even though I know Charlotte's at the beginning of the alphabet there. We got Navy on tap today. We got old AAC member UConn on tap tonight, and then the rest of the AAC after that. But yeah, so check it all out, folks. We got the SEC, Mountain West, Pac-2, Big 10, Big 12, ACC, all out there. YouTube.com/the college experience. If you're wondering who the hell you're listening to, that's fair. My name is Colby Swig Database Dan, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
And you're nothing but a chameleon, lemon-headed, coward, terrorist pussy. And I'm after you, buddy. You're going to pay for it. Good night.
Look, it's only fitting to play something from the Charlotte City Council on the Charlotte 49ers preview there as David Thompson let the good folks of Charlotte, North Carolina know that they're lemon-headed. All right. And I'm going to let Biff Poggi tried to let the people at Media Day know that they're lemon-headed last season with one question. I came here for one damn question. We got a lot to talk about here. I am joined by my co-host. Well, some call him the DFS god. We will have DFS episodes all through the fall. Give it up for the rooftop IPA drinking, homebrew making, tobacco road living, the free lot giving, farmer, earn the basketball league MVP. Give it up for NC Nick in the place to be.
There we go. What's going on, man?
Oh, what's going on is what? We got a football program in their 11th year of existence. They were around in the 40s, but they came back 11 years ago after being away for a very long time. And I am, buddy, the Miners, the 49ers, they struck gold when they hired Poggi. Where you at? Where you at with this program?
I think some people could say they're a sleeping giant. I mean, it's a big college in a big city, lots of local talent, in the Charlotte area and the surrounding areas. So if they're given the right coach, I think they could have a very bright future. Now, I will say, you've kind of liked Charlotte. You've kind of, I think other than ECU, they're your second favorite school in the cap. Okay, all right. Well, now you
Yeah.
got about half of them, so I guess that doesn't count. But you were
Yeah.
kind of a Will Healy guy.
Didn't work out.
No, not quite. Now they turned to Biff Poggi. Year one, I mean, they were 3-9, but I think they were competitive. I think that's a good year one. So I think the future is bright.
Let me say, like, I thought the Will Healy hire after what he did at Austin Peay, because they were horrible, would work out. Now that team, he did give them their best season ever. So I guess I'm technically not wrong, but they lacked physicality, man. They were kind of a pussy team under Will Healy, right?
Yeah. And I thought also they needed somebody to energize that fan base, and he wasn't the guy.
Well, and Biff Poggi who comes in, and one thing I'll say is I think this team is so much tougher. And it took, let's just talk first. I mean, there's so much to cover here. Shout out to the chat, youtube.com/college experience. DeMarcus Johnson saying, how do you guys choose what team to break down? We are going conference by conference. I know I'm sprinkling UConn in tonight, but those independents are always a little tricky. Did UMass last night. Biff Poggi, first from the start. I personally believe he's the most interesting coach in college football. Now that Mike Leach is gone, may he rest in peace. Biff Poggi, first you have this here. If you folks, if you haven't tuned in to a Charlotte game, this is Biff Poggi.
I love it.
Right?
You better have a tough team if that's your head coach, right?
And I was just reading an article. That when he got there, I guess he spoke in front of the press. And he was wearing that shirt, and like the president's like, hey, we got to get him some gear. And apparently like he then was just like, he was like, no, this is what I'm doing. Right. And then like the team got behind that. So the one time he did wear a suit, they booed him wearing a suit. So now he's got his thing. And look, this is a guy that played offensive line. I think it's the most interesting story out of all the coaches. He's played
a character. This is what the NFL doesn't have, where everybody's kind of the same. And this is why college football is great, because you can have a character like Biff Poggi at Charlotte. And one other thing, he does have the best side boob in all of college football.
I mean, this is a guy that played offensive lineman in college. So I was just going down a rabbit hole right now. He was kicked out of 8 schools by the time he was in, I think, 10th grade, right? According to the article. And it was just a badass in Baltimore.
I didn't realize
thing. Yeah,
I didn't realize he went to Duke also.
Yeah, so after playing at Pitt, guess who was in front of him at Pitt? He was on the team with Dan Marino, but also you might have heard of these guys: Russ Grimm, Jim Covert, Mark May, Bill Fralick. Wow. Yeah, some of the best offensive linemen ever. Yeah,
offensive line.
So and Hugh Green was on the defensive side of the ball, one of the better college defensive players ever, and he did end up hurting his knee, and he transferred to Duke and played under Spurrier when Spurrier was the OC before he became the head coach. Spurrier was the OC. So Jackie Sherrill at Pitt, Spurrier at Duke, his final year or two there. And then he goes and is a GA at the Citadel, right? After the Citadel, I believe he coaches high school. Well, I got a little graphic here. YouTube.com/the college experience. He then coached high school. Well, no, he had stops at Brown in the Ivy League and Temple. But then he coached high school from 88 to 2015 while he was a hedge fund manager. So get this, the dude's like a self-made millionaire.
And he doesn't look like a hedge fund manager either. I'm not sure if I would trust him with my 401k.
Yeah. I mean, just a really fascinating hire here. And then if you don't know the history on so then he goes 2016, Jim Harbaugh hires him because John Harbaugh recommended him. Right. Then he goes to Michigan for 1 year. Then he bounces back to high school. Right. Very good years at that. Then bounces back to Michigan in 2021 and 22 when they turned that corner. Remember in 20, they wanted him fired. They wanted Harbaugh fired after the 20 season. So Biff comes in there. And then he gets hired by Charlotte. There's so many layers to this because he didn't need the money to go to Charlotte, right? So he takes a deal for $500,000, which is unheard of for an AAC coach, right? Maybe 20 years ago. And then he gets what, $2.3 million for his assistants, right? Then one of my favorite quotes from him was the fact, let me load this up real quick. When he got hired, he says, if you get the Alabama job, you've inherited a Lamborghini. I have no interest in inheriting Lamborghinis, right?
Not that he'd have an option to either, but still.
Well, I don't know. If he stayed at Michigan, I think he could have got a better job than Charlotte. They just won the national championship.
True.
But I like it. It's a guy that took less money. The buyout is nothing. Like, so for Charlotte, like, you're just like, okay, yeah. This is a guy that I think is 65 years old or 64 years old that just wants to coach football, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And that's what I dig about this. There's so much interesting news with hiring Biff Poggi to me. It's such a different approach than almost every other team in the nation. And I'm fascinated by it.
Yeah, and it seems like the fan base has definitely accepted him, and he has, started to excite them. Because look, I mean, their stadiums were usually completely empty in the Will Healy days. Now, last year you saw a little bit better turnout, and now if he can start fielding a winner, then maybe you've awoken that giant.
They sold out of his. So Under Armour did a shirt with him with the cutoff shirts, like Biff Poggi cutoff shirts for Charlotte, and they sold out of those in the bookstore. There is a buzz around town, and I just think the overall toughness of the team last season, that year one, that was the hardest journey to me, was from a Will Healy team that looked so soft, especially defensively, to, I saw a real development, even though you got to read between the lines here. They won 3 games both years. So it's like, you got to be able to notice the physicality of the team. And I think that's one thing that jumped out.
That Will Healy, Will Healy was 1-7 when he got let go in 2022. So Poggi was inheriting a pile of shit pretty much.
Well, and it's not only that, like when I say they lacked physicality, they lacked physicality. Every team, it was like the one of the worst defenses, in all of college. I mean, William and Mary won by 7. William and Mary put up in the 40s on them. Western Kentucky scored 60 almost on them. I think it was 59. And he had to walk into that. And I thought he did a great job just improving the toughness on the team. I know you see 3-9 and it's 3-9, but I just think the toughness on the team is on a different level right now. Offensive coordinator is Mike Miller, defense coordinator Ryan Osborne. Let's jump into it. But before I do that, I want to tell you, you are listening to the Sports Gambling Podcast Network and the College Football Experience here. The Sports Gambling Podcast just launched their 32-team NFL preview series, 32 episodes, 32 teams. And as a bonus, each team preview will include a code word. Submit the 32 code word phrase, and you could be the lucky winner who gets a $500 NFL Circa future bet. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and the SGPN app, which you can download in the App Store and Google Play Store for free. Look, they've only had the program for 11 years, or this will be year 11, I believe. What's the best win here? I think it's Duke, right? But it could be ECU.
Duke is the only P4 opponent on that list, right? So Duke stands out, but nice wins, at Marshall. That's not an easy place to win at, and at ECU, that isn't either. That game was last year.
And 2 FAU wins too. Those are, I guess last year's FAU wasn't great, but the other one was decent. And as they look to build it, and that's what I love about their stadium. By the way, check out the Stadium Heads podcast. We did a deep dive on Jerry Richardson Stadium there for Charlotte. I think it's a great little stadium, and with the capability of expanding, and I think it will expand, after Poggi's success.
By the way, there. I like that logo. It's much better than the C with the pickaxe in the middle.
I agree. And they have some better logos coming up that they need to go back to. And we will talk about those in a second. But I want to say the Charlotte 49ers season preview episode is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Yes, Underdog Fantasy just launched Underdog Streaks. Hit your first 2 entries and you go streaking when it comes to pick 'em. Look, if you can go 11-0, you can win 1,000 times the amount of money you enter. Plus, Best Ball Mania is live with $15 million in prizes, folks. We got college football best ball. They just introduced it. I've been waiting for someone to do college football best ball for so long. Underdog Fantasy is that place. They just added another college football contest as well for best ball. So get on over there. You can now use specials and boost on all flexed entries. So sign up. And when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick. Plus first time deposit offer of up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. We're also brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is now an authorized ticket marketplace of the MLB, which makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets the first pitch. With killer last minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and the lowest price guaranteed, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. They also look, Game Time is great for college football too. If you're planning on going out to Jerry Richardson Stadium there, it's still a perfect spot for that. Pull up that Game Time app. You will find yourself a nice seat and at a very low rate. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the redeeming code CFBX for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, terms apply. Create that account, redeeming code CFBX for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, we are back talking Charlotte Clit football here. I love it when the ECU fans show up. My fellow ECU fans. I like this becoming a thing, and the AAC really failed by not having that the final game of the year. If you're gonna be stuck in this thing for years to come, you should at least end the season with that game.
Build that rivalry up some. I agree.
Fail. The offense a season ago. This is the logo they need to go back to. Put that on the helmet. Put that on the helmet. What do you mean? What do you mean you don't know about that? What, the pipe is too offensive?
I like the pipe. What's in the pipe? That's what, yeah. I mean, is it just tobacco or what?
That's for you to figure out. That's part of the mystery of the planet. All right, that on a helmet will fucking fly. Oh, give me a white helmet with that logo. You will win so many more football games.
Yeah, maybe you're onto something.
They were 123rd in scoring defense or scoring offense a year ago. That was second to last in the AAC. They were 115th in yards. That was third to last in the AAC. They were 116th in passing. That was third to last in the AAC. 81st in rushing, though. That's that toughness, Cincy Nick. 10th best, and that to me, you're starting to see them turn that corner there. As to me, just being a tougher team than a lot of these teams out there. Agree? What stands out to you out of those numbers?
Well, I mean, the quarterback play last year wasn't very good. When your quarterbacks combined for 7 touchdowns and 16 interceptions, that is a problem. One of the quarterbacks, Jalen Jones, did lead the team in rushing, so you're not surprised when you have a mobile quarterback that you have a decent rushing team. But they need better quarterback play, and they hit the portal, and I think you would assume that that is going to be improved this year.
Yeah, and this is why I'm bullish on them this year. Is if they can solve the quarterback spot, which I think they can, and add another year of depth, another layer of depth.
Well, overall, let's talk about the talent real quick, because Charlotte 49ers have been injected with more talent than they've ever seen there. I think. I mean, we got the 7th best recruiting class in the AAC coming in this year. You got the 5th best portal class in the conference coming in this year. So right away, I mean, he is, and we'll go through all the names and on all the schools where transfers are coming in from. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and I would even argue they need to be higher than 5th. But let's talk about it, because they only have 5 returning starters on offense, but 2 tight ends in the center. Sign me up for that. Colin Weber, Jake Clemens, center Johnny King, a wide receiver Dwayne Thomas, who might not even start for them, by the way, with the amount of talent they brought in. So we'll see.
I argue that Jarris Mack, who led the team in receiving yards, I think you consider him a starter too. So that number might even be at least 6.
There we go. So Maybe I accidentally deleted that actually because I had 5. You know, sometimes when you load up the screen and you're hitting back. I think I might have deleted the 5th guy. Yeah. The offensive losses, Micah Bowens, the quarterback, going to Bethune-Cookman. Darrell Robinson was one I think if fans were paying attention to last season would say, what? You know, this is a guy that you know, it could be a guy for us. But hang tight because I really like what they did in the running back room. Jaden Bradley heads out to Pitt. I mean, these are guys that like, okay, you know, Bradley was a guy that came in from. I'm sorry, he came in from Pitt. He heads out to UNLV, but he really didn't do what I thought he would do last season. I thought he could be a guy that could be a difference maker. He heads out to UNLV. We'll see how it works out there. So I'm not really worried about any of these. Hystera was decent, 28 catches for like 350 yards. He heads out to Utah State. Are you? Is there any of the ones that jump out to you here?
I think whenever you look at somebody at the G5 level, if a transfer goes to, you know, an SEC school or a Big Ten school or something, that's when you know it's a big blow. If they're just transferring at, you know, to the same level type school, or they're transferring down like UT Martin or Bethune, then you know that it's not a big loss, that they weren't really getting playing time there. So no, I mean, it looks like a lot of guys, but they're bringing a lot of guys in, so they had to make some room, and I don't think those guys will be missed that much now.
Yeah, and that graphic's inaccurate again. Bradley came in from Pitt. He went to UNLV. He was there last year, and then now he's at UNLV.
He didn't catch anything, so he didn't play much at all.
Yeah, but yeah, Kay is saying Robinson's a blow, but not when you see what they brought in. This is why I kind of love what they did. Max Brown, who started a couple games for Florida last season, comes in instantly. And I know he didn't set the world on fire in the SEC, but he's such an upgrade at the quarterback spot.
You would have to think so. Yeah. So he started the Florida State game when Mertz went down, and he did not have a good game against Florida State. 9 of 16
defense. Though.
I know 9 of 16, 86 yards and a pick. But still, I think he is an improvement over what they had last year.
And then the running back room here. I was a big fan of Cartavius Norton at Iowa State. And then CJ Stokes coming in from Michigan, where obviously Poggi was from, and Stokes is supposed to start, but that's a 1-2 punch that I think could be the best in the conference.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Stokes hardly played at all, but can you blame him? You know, behind Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards. You know, And Norton, he played a lot more for the Cyclones. I think he was over like 300, 400 yards last couple of years. So those two guys combined, I think that's really good.
Yeah, I'm completely buying in to that, and I think in general, look at these names. So they bring in Omega Blake from ECU. Well, he's definitely a little confused in life. But Justin Olsen's guy that started a shit ton of games there at Middle Tennessee. Trainer coming in, Willie Fritz wide out from Tulane. And then look what they did on the line of scrimmage. Bringing in guys from A&M, Florida, Clemson, Georgia Tech, UMass, Tennessee. Well, I guess UMass doesn't belong there, but you know what I mean? And like that is kind of killing it in the portal. That's what when you say they're a more talented team than they've been. That's exhibit A right there to me.
Yeah, a couple of things. I think Blake is from South Carolina, where he was 250 yards, a couple of touchdowns last year, and then Olsen, before he was at Middle Tennessee State, he was at UNC. So again, you got major conference talent coming in here. So I think the receiver room is an upgrade. The running backs from last year upgraded, quarterback upgraded. Now, offensive line, there's a question mark because you only have one returning starter. But you look at the guys there, the guy from the Clemson transfer, he started a handful of games last year. The A&M guy started a handful of games. So I think where it might take a while to get on the same page as far as the offensive linemen. They're probably more talented than the guys that departed, I would assume. Yeah.
And to me, I just think it's building that depth. I don't know that all those guys will start. Obviously not when you bring in that many, but I really think that this team is much better. He was at ECU for a little bit. Omega Blake. Okay, yeah, that's what it was. There we go.
Oh, okay, good info, Donnie. Appreciate it.
Yeah, he started at South Carolina, transferred to ECU for this. Yeah, there we go.
I guess we should mention, because Northside in the chat wants to know what position Adam Hopkins will. He's the Colorado transfer who's listed as a DB.
Yeah,
I don't have any intel on that.
I don't either right now. That's what we're waiting to see, I guess, is to see what they do with him. But dude, I think this offense is going to be a lot better. I think Max Brown will give them an edge at the quarterback spot they haven't had. And I also think the running back room is much better than it's been. They still have Kelman too at the running back spot. So I think with those three backs,
I mean, there was a stretch of games like mid-season last year, 5 straight games where Charlotte didn't score more than 16 points. So the offense was not strong at all last year. So I think definitely this year we're looking at a much better offense.
I mean, just look, I mean, the O-line's a question mark, but this is what the guy did. Biff Poggi's a former offensive lineman. He was an O-line coach. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's one area that he can address that he knows. Right.
Yeah.
And then when you look at, to me, your starting quarterback upgrade, the running back room, huge upgrade. You got both your tight ends back, a couple wideouts that played substantial or starts last season, but then you added Omega Blake and Justin Olsen. This guy started at Middle Tennessee last year.
Yeah.
So like you're getting guys. I just think the offense is going to be way better this year.
I think I agree. I mean, as long as the O-line holds up.
Yeah, which I think it will. I think it'll be a much better offensive line than a year ago. So, we're going to talk the defensive side of the ball. But before we do that, I do want to tell you that the Charlotte 49ers 2024 season previews brought to you by Rhythm. Football season's here, and college football and NFL models are already live on Rhythm. Create your own winning betting model, or let Rhythm do the heavy lifting for you. You decide what stats matter most for you, and Rhythm builds a custom model around that. Or you can just sit back and let Rhythm and its predictive models do all the heavy lifting for you. Rhythm uses AI projections from MIT data scientists and quants. That's what they're calling Biff Poggi these days.
A quant?
Yeah. After he's sitting around with all that money.
I'm not sure what a quant is, but you better be careful what you're calling Biff Poggi.
That's true. It's true. That son of a bitch will knock my fucking teeth out. All right. Rhythm already has you covered for NFL week 1 and college football week 0. I'm telling you, I'm taking those Seminoles. No, I'm sorry. I'm taking the Yellow Jackets plus 13 against those Seminoles. I can't talk. Haven't had my coffee yet. Claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. We're also brought to you by Circa Survivor and Circa Millions. Yes, Circa Sports is back with Circa Survivor and Circa Millions, giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes. Imagine the regret you'll feel if you win your office pool Survivor, go 18 weeks picking NFL winners, and you claim your $400 and a Applebee's gift card, right? And you're going to sit there with regret that you didn't enter Circa Survivor, because those picks would have been good anywhere. You would have been a millionaire if you had. Look, if you don't have a trip booked for Vegas yet before football season, may I recommend Ultimate Contest Weekend. It is a great time to go out. You can hang with my pals, Stacking the Money Green and Real Money Kramer from the Sports Gambling Podcast, and enjoy some of the open bar events at the greatest sports book in the world, August 22nd to August 24th. And by the way, if you're going to stay at Circa, use the promo code SGP15 that weekend for 15% off your hotel room. Sign up, and you do want to sign up in person though at Circa between now and September 7th when the season kicks off with that wacky ass NFL kickoff. They gotta get rid of that kickoff. Anyway, you use once you get there, you sign up for a proxy and you can play from anywhere. You know what I mean? So you don't have to come back to Vegas every single week. Go to proxy.footballcontest.com. Use our promo code SGP. It will save you $50 as well. Do all that and let it ride. The defensive side of the ball. A season ago, 88th in scoring per game. That was 8th in the AAC. 59th. Considering this is what I mean is like, this is why 3 wins is 3 wins, but you look at this compared to the year before, defense was way fucking better. 59th in yards, 374.2 yards per game, 7th best in the AAC, 45th in passing. That was actually second best pass defense in the AAC. And then 9th in rush defense. What do you make of this?
It's very impressive. I mean, this is what Poggi did the best year one, was that improve the defense. He might have been an O lineman, but it's the other side of the ball that was most impressive. So year one I don't have the 2022 numbers, but I bet you they were nowhere near, those figures right there. So yeah, well done year one. And again, they hit the portal heavy, bringing in a lot of talent. It seems like the defense is here to stay.
Yeah. And 5 starters back on that defense. Des Morgan at the nose tackle spot. Stone Handy, great name. At the linebacker spot, same with Prince Bima and nickelback CJ Burton and Dante Belfour, who was a I think second or third team All AAC. So nice to get him back at the cornerback spot. The portal did hurt them a little bit on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
They lost some guys. The big one here is Nikai Hill-Green going to Colorado. That's one of the big ones. He was
night.
Yeah. Nikai Hill-Green was a Michigan transfer who was pretty decent at Michigan. When I did the Charlotte preview last season, I highlighted that get for Charlotte. And
so Knight and Hill-Green were the top 2 tacklers from a season ago. They were a great linebacker duo. It does hurt to see both of them go.
Yeah. And then how about Cameron Howard going to Alabama in the secondary? Same with Dantes Fagan going to West Virginia. So they took some hits on the defensive side of the ball. But the portal takes and the portal gives. They went out and got Donovan Spellman from App State. Oh, just
come on.
Does that count as a rivalry yet?
No, I don't think so.
Because I think they're playing like pretty often. I want to say they opened the season. I think they open the season next year, but I feel like they've played 2 or 3 times already.
Let's take a quick look here. Well, yeah, they played in 2018, 19, and 2020 with that winning all 3. So I don't know. I mean, I think the more obvious rivalry is ECU because they're in the same conference and will play each other, every year. But I mean, Boone to Charlotte, it's not too far. So I like it.
Chance Williams comes in from the Miami Hurricanes on the D line. Same with DeAndre Martin from South Carolina and Steven Sings from Auburn, as well as Ayo Tofase from Georgia Tech and Dre Butler from Michigan State. This is what I mean, though.
Right.
This is, dude. Look at all these gets. Adam Hopkins, who I know Northside was talking about in the chat. There's a chance he plays wide receiver because Brewster. Either way, whatever happens here, like they uploaded or they just upgraded the talent.
I think you're still concerned about the front 7. The D line, kind of like the O line, where they only got one guy coming back. It looks on paper like you got a lot of talent coming in from big name programs. And then obviously replacing those 2 linebackers is going to be difficult. But if you're looking at the secondary, especially with the cornerback that you mentioned, Balfour, one of the top ones in the conference, I think the secondary is set. They could be like a top 5 in the American. You worry a little bit about the front 7, but looking at that graphic right there, you got a lot of guys coming in. So hopefully a few of them will pan out.
Yeah. Antonio Cotman, Sammy coming in from Virginia Tech, Sammy Anderson from Cincinnati. We mentioned Hopkins from Colorado. The linebacking core, Xavier Simmons from Missouri, Avery Morris from a good New Mexico State team, and Aiden Kaler from Stony Brook, the Seawolves. I think this team still won the portal, even with those losses. When you took it, like when you think about the offensive side of the ball too.
I agree.
I think they won the portal. I think they're going to be much, much better. Let's talk about this win total because I just insulting here. They added some other guys too.
Kept going.
I missed this page.
Page 2.
Just that's what I'm saying. Clinksdale from Boston College, Anthony Rumpf from Western Michigan. Rumpf, I think, was solid there. A very encouraging transfer portal class from Charlotte, mixed with better recruiting. I think the toughness of the team is improved. And I think you should be very optimistic if you're a Charlotte 49er fan. The win total sitting at 3.5. Don't insult me. You already insulted Biff Poggi a year ago with one damn question. All right.
And then somebody called him a quant.
They're plus 8,000 to win the AAC. I don't even think that's that crazy. I think the AAC is wide the fuck open this year. plus 50,000 to make the 12-team playoff to win the Natty, plus 500,000. Were you surprised the win total was that low?
Yeah, I mean they won 3 last year. And I think I think you have to mention like how competitive they were against some of the top teams they played. You know, they were up 14-0 on Maryland. They were up 14-9 at half on Maryland until Maryland kind of came back and won by 18. The game against Florida was competitive, just 16-7 at the half. They lost to Memphis, one of the best teams in the conference, on the road. It was a home game, but lost in overtime. So right away, I mean, year one, all you can ask for a brand new coach that's inheriting a bad team is to be competitive. Usually year two, some of those close losses might turn into close wins. So I'd have to assume that they're going to improve on their win total from a season ago.
Yeah. And I know they're 10-point dogs in week 1 against James Madison. If you haven't been listening to us all off season, not only are they covering, they are winning that game. I feel good about that. They're going to beat JMU week 1.
It's great to get a brand new coach with a entirely new roster and a new quarterback right off the gate. So you know what? Why not? We're on the 49ers, preview. I will go with you and say they start off 1-0.
Then they head to Chapel Hill. Are you going to be at this game?
No, probably not.
As the Tar Heels, Mac Brown,
first ever matchup.
And where does Biff Poggi go in our head coaching Royal Rumbles?
Well, I think he could take Mac Brown down.
I'll say they lose this, but I'm intrigued after the way they performed, like you said about with Maryland and Florida. Don't lay no stinker out there, Carolina. All right, ECU already comes there and beats the shit out of you all the time. All right, to the point where you don't even schedule ECU anymore. Don't let Biff Poggi come in there and claim Chapel Hill.
Oh man, that'd be wonderful. But no, I see UNC winning.
I do too. Then you got the running Bulldogs of Gardner Webb, who are breaking in a brand new head coach. Win 2-1.
Yeah, I mean they were 7-4 last year. They played App, and it was kind of a close game for a while until App pulled away. But especially with the new head coach again, so that's going to be what 3 of the first 4 games. You got new head coaches on the Carolina schedule. I'm sorry, on the Charlotte schedule. So
yes.
They win this and go 2-1.
And then this is a huge one to me because I think this is winnable. I know Indiana. I know Kurt Cignetti, I think is a very good hire for Indiana. I know he's been outspoken at Big Ten media days, and I know he inherits like his whole JMU team. But I'm just saying, like Indiana, how much better was I think this is still a game. Yes, you got to favor Indiana, but I think it's a game.
Indiana's played close games to G5 teams the last few years. I remember the Western Kentucky game.
Akron last year.
Yeah. And Akron was shit. So you could maybe talk me into taking the points, but I think on the road in Bloomington at Indiana, I'm going to go Hoosiers.
I'll go Hoosiers, but I would not be surprised if Poggi gets this done. All right. Then they head to the Rice Bowl. To take on the Rice Owls. This is winnable.
It's winnable, but it's the second half of a back-to-back.
Give me a win.
Rice won 28-7 in Charlotte last year. I like the addition of EJ Warner at quarterback for the Owls. I'm going to go Rice.
No. Charlotte's the more tougher team here. They're going to prove it this year. They win in Houston. That's not like they have a crowd. It's just
true.
You know what I mean? So I think 3-2 out the gate.
2-3.
And then they welcome in Mike Houston and the East Carolina Pirates.
Revenge will be on the Pirates' mind.
Yeah, that game was a very annoying game last year. It was like in the rain. ECU gets revenge, wins at Jerry Richardson Stadium. Sorry, Biff.
I think I agree, which means Charlotte's lost 3 in a row. For me, at least.
Yeah, not for me. And then Biff, look, this guy won 13 state titles in 19 seasons in Maryland. He goes up to Annapolis. They know him on a first name basis. All right, to take on the Navy midshipmen. I do.
Great timing for a bye. Great timing for a bye right before Navy. I think Charlotte bounces back after losing a few games. I think they get this one.
Yep, that means I'm on the over by October 19th, folks.
So that's only 3 for me. So I'm not on the over yet.
And then they head to the Liberty Bowl to take on the Memphis Tigers. I bet you this game will be close. I'm taking the points. Like Memphis probably wins the game. I'm telling you, that last season, see the Memphis game. Memphis is a little finesse team. Charlotte has the perfect remedy to fuck with them.
Well, I mentioned it was an overtime game last year, but this is a kind of a tough part in the schedule here. They have 4 games in a row with one could argue the 4 top teams in the American. You know, UTSA might have something to say about that. But I'm gonna go Memphis.
Then they come home and they host the Tulane Green Wave. They're gonna beat Tulane, buddy.
I'm right with you. This was going to be my surprise. Thursday night on Halloween, kind of just a funky spot for Tulane. I think Charlotte's going to upset somebody at home this year. I guess the JMU game would count, week 1. But here's the other upset they get, and they get to 4 here for me, right? Yeah,
I'm at 5. All right, and then they get their second bye week. I like where their bye weeks are placed. The reason why I like this bye week is because South Florida scored 48 on them last year.
Yeah. By the way, your Tulane date is wrong because it's a Thursday.
Yeah. Yeah. I made it a while ago, so it probably changed. They're probably still going to lose this, but they could win this one. I love the bye week there.
Yeah, it is a good spot, but I don't have them beating Tulane, and I'm pretty high on South Florida, so I don't think they're going to get both those. So if I'm giving them Tulane, they're going to drop this to USF.
Then they head to Del Boca Vista, Boca Raton, the old folks home there, take on Tom Herman and FAU. I do think they lose this too.
I'm also pretty high on FAU, so I agree. Maybe too much offensive firepower from the Owls, so I'm still sitting. I'm sitting at 4 and 7 right now. Still on the over, but not bowling. But I do think they close out at home with the win over UAB.
Yeah, and I think they do go bowling with this game right here. This gets them to a bowl. I think they're contending for an AAC championship next season. This year, they still could, man. Because let me build you a case here. FAU were bullish on, but they still were they were shitty last year because of Casey Thompson's injury, right?
Not as shitty as Charlotte, but yeah.
But my point is that I don't know that we're banking on them being good. We haven't seen Tom Herman be good at FAU yet, right?
We haven't seen Biff Poggi be good at Charlotte yet. To be
yes, fair. I understand that, but I'm saying I like the fact, in my opinion, they're getting okay. You got the Memphis game. We know Memphis is good, right? East Carolina, I think, is a contender in the AAC this year. Tulane's a contender in the AAC this year. South Florida's a contender in the AAC this year, and they're all coming to Jerry Richardson Stadium. If they can defend home field, they could have a special season.
I like it. I agree. And I mean, last year they started off conference play at SMU. Again, the SMU is now gone in the ACC. So the conference as a whole, losing another team, bringing in Army, that's not a fair trade. So the conference is getting a little bit worse, which means it opens up opportunities, at least for the 49ers. Do I see them contending to win the conference? No, I think they're still a year or 2 away, if not more. But I think you're happy if you win 2 more games than last year. I think you're thrilled if you go bowling. So I think things are still only up and up for the Niners, but and I'm definitely on the over.
I'm locked. This is a lock for me.
Yeah, I look, if it's at 3.5 and you're projecting 6 and 6, it should be a lock. I just don't see them going backwards or winning. I mean, they're a better team than last year. Last year was year 1. You have to assume they get at least one more win. So I kind of agree. You might find it on my lock pod too.
There we go. Load up, folks. So the ceiling? I don't think 6 and 6 is the ceiling because that's what I'm calling them at. I think the ceiling, honestly, is like JMU, Gardner Webb,
8.
Yeah, hold on. I wouldn't shock me if they beat Indiana and Rice. You know what I mean? Like you could be
both of them in a back-to-back road. I don't know.
Those aren't that tough of I mean, Indiana will be lit, but Rice is does that truly count as a back-to-back road when you're just like at a stadium with like 700 people?
Out of all the back-to-back roads, that's a pretty easy one.
Yeah,
I'll give you that.
I think your ceiling's 8 and 4. Your ceiling's 8 and 4. Your
floor?
The floor is
At least 3-9. Same
I think 3-9. Yeah. I'm on the over. I like it. Biff Poggi, the most as far as coaches go in college football. NC Nick, where do you put Biff Poggi? Most interesting.
As far as most interesting, he's got to be on like a top 10 most interesting list. I mean, just with his game day attire alone. I mean, who else is rocking that? Who else is showing side boob? That's fantastic. How can he not root for the guy?
Yeah. I mean, college football is better with Biff Poggi in it. Let's just say that. All right, we're both on the over. Damn it, I was hoping he was taking the under so I could argue with him. I feel like arguing.
Not today.
Folks, give NC Nick a follow on Twitter at NC__NICK. I'm on Twitter at TheColeBD. The College Football Experience is on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. I cannot wait to watch the Charlotte 49ers this season. YouTube.com/The College Experience. You can watch the show. The graphics make it all better. Northside saying, will Tulane be a dub? Yes, we think it will be a dub. They're going to upset the Tulane Green Wave there. It's easy to see a tide turn. All right.
It's easy to see a tide turn.
Yeah. YouTube.com though /The College Experience. Get on over there. And like I said, check out the Stadium Heads podcast. Obviously we talk about Jerry Richardson Stadium there for a decent amount. Give it its respect. But the YouTube channel will provide that for you. All right. It is the home to our college football experience. It is the home to our college basketball experience, which goes live, every single night of the college basketball season, and already doing off-season interviews and stuff like that. So check it out. Also the college baseball experience. Come on, Charlotte, let's go. So all of those merge into one on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/The College Experience. And the Stadium Heads episodes available too, youtube.com/@Stadium Heads SGPN. Check out what we say about Jerry Richardson Stadium and the future of Charlotte football. Also check out the Sports Gambling Podcast. All right, folks, until next time, this is the Charlotte 49ers Clit season preview episode. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.
Run and shoot. We can really run and shoot. And the whole team's looking and the whole world's looking with the gamblers. Run and shoot.